Hey you guys, thanks for coming onto my channel. This is Chef LC, your favorite home cook that makes every meal with love and seasoning. And today we're about to get into my lasagna. This is my no beef, no pork lasagna. I actually made it with ground turkey and ground chicken, and it was super easy to make. Actually didn't take that long. I definitely skipped a few steps and took a few shortcuts, which I'll show you guys soon, but the end result was amazing. So let's just go ahead and get into this. So I have my ground turkey as well as some chicken Italian sausage. I got these from the grocery store. I did get the mild sausage, and then I took my pot and I went ahead and preheated it a little bit and added some canola oil, and then I'm just going to add my ground turkey and my chicken sausage straight in there. I did squeeze the chicken sausage filling from the casing because I didn't want to have that thick casing in the lasagna. So just go ahead and squeeze that out. I added 2 sausages, but you're more than welcome to add more, or you can just make this with straight ground turkey. It's completely up to you. But now I'm just going in and making sure that I mix all this meat together so that when you are eating it, it doesn't taste like you just have chunks of chicken sausage or chunks of ground turkey. I kind of want that meat to be mixed together and just have more flavor. So of course, although the chicken sausage is already seasoning, so we are adding our own seasonings to the meat. First, I'm adding some seasoning salt. I'm also going to go in with some garlic powder, and I don't have the exact measurements, you guys. I just kind of season until my ancestors say to stop. So if you want the exact measurements, then go ahead and check out the bio so you can see how to get the full recipe for these meals. But I also went in and added some onion powder as well as some black pepper. And now I'm just going to go in and give this meat a really good stir, because since I poured all those seasonings on top, I want to make sure that the seasoning coats all of the meat. So I'm mixing it together, giving it a nice chop, a nice stir. I'm also using this time to kind of break down the meat a little bit more so that we don't have huge chunks of meat in our lasagna. I'm not a fan of that, but if you like your lasagna to be chunky, then go ahead. This is the meat after it's been cooking, I would say, for about 15 to 20 minutes. You can see some of that fat has rendered from that chicken and a little bit from the turkey. And now I'm adding some chopped onions and chopped garlic, and I just went ahead and gave that a stir. So I'm actually using jarred mushroom marinara sauce. I used 2 jars, actually, well, about 1.5 jars. So that was 1 jar that you guys just saw me pour into there. Now the meat is fully cooked, and I'm going to add about another 1/2 jar. I recommend this because you don't want your lasagna to be too dry. Of course, you can make your sauce from scratch, but I didn't have time to do all that. Although I'm working from home, I still have a lot of things I need to get done, and I'm sure you do too. So I feel like using this jarred mushroom marinara sauce was great. I love the mushroom sauce because I feel like it adds so much flavor, especially since we're not using any like beef or pork in this lasagna. So yes, I just used about 1 jar and 1/2 of another jar, gave it a really good stir. And then if you can add some fresh ingredients and some fresh herbs, that's really going to help your sauce kind of taste like you made it. So I actually am growing basil in my garden. So I just went ahead and gave that basil a really nice chop, added that into my meat sauce so that it can go ahead and simmer. And we are going to go ahead and add the lid to this meat, and we're going to let it simmer on low for at least 1/2 hour. If you can let it simmer for a little bit longer than that, then that's even better. The longer it simmers, the more the flavor is going to develop. But again, I did not have all day to make this lasagna. I think at this point it was already like 5 o'clock. So I was getting hungry, I was getting ready to eat. So I did let mine simmer for about 30 minutes. Now, while we let that meat simmer, you can go ahead and get your lasagna noodles prepped. And here's a really easy hack to make sure that your noodles are cooked all the way through, and it also helps you avoid from having to boil them. So go ahead and take a dish, put all your noodles in there. I have about 8 lasagna noodles, and then just add hot tap water into that pot. I add it to the point where the noodles are covered. So that's the whole point. Once you have added the water, set those noodles aside so that we can make our ricotta. So I have a container of ricotta cheese, whole milk. I'm also going to be adding some ground clove, some parsley that you see over there, and then some chopped garlic. And I am going to be chopping up that parsley into fine bits. So go ahead and add the ricotta. I'm also adding an egg because that's going to help bring out the richness, and it's going to help make it more of a binder. So I recommend that you do add the egg to your ricotta mixture. I also add about a tablespoon of that chopped garlic in there, and then the chopped up parsley that I went ahead and cut, that is fresh parsley, I added that into there as well. So just go ahead and give that a really good stir. Oh wait, I almost forgot. I also added a little bit of that clove. So believe it or not, whenever you eat lasagna, you typically will taste something in the back of your mouth. You don't really recognize it, but it's always nice to add a little bit of a sweet element into your savory dishes. Trust me, you're not going to taste a bunch of clove in your lasagna, but it really does make a big difference. So add about half a teaspoon of the clove into that ricotta mixture. And now go ahead and give it a good stir, and then you can wrap it up and set it in the fridge while you go back to check on your meat. Smells really, really good. Okay, so this meat has been simmering on low for about half an hour. I did come and check it about every 10 minutes or so to give it a stir and to make sure it's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. But as you can see, that sauce has really thickened up and darkened up. It looks so good. You would swear I made this from scratch, especially with like the pieces of garlic and onion and basil. Nobody's gonna know. Well, if you're cooking for like a chef, they might know that this is jarred. But the average Joe is not going to know whether you made this from scratch or not. So just go ahead and wing it, sis. Now, I'm taking that same dish that I originally was soaking my noodles in. I poured that water out and set my noodles aside because I'm gonna make my lasagna in that dish. So I'm adding some of that meat sauce to the bottom of the pan. That way the noodles will not stick, and it actually just adds a nice little surprise at the bottom of your lasagna so it's not all dry and hard. And as you can see here, I'm just kind of staggering my noodles. I put 4 of them down on top of the meat, kind of like a brick shape. And now I'm going to take that ricotta cheese and begin to spread it all over the noodles. So this part can be a lot of fun for kids. If you have kids, it's always nice to include them in the cooking process. I don't have kids, but my mom always made sure when I was small to include me in the cooking process. So I highly recommend it if you are a parent. Go ahead and let them take this ricotta mixture and just start spreading it all around. It's kind of hard for them to mess this up, honestly, because there's no such thing as like too much ricotta, right? Right, so just go ahead and continuously spread that all across, and I'll show you guys what it should look like when it's nice and even. Okay, so this is how my ricotta mixture looks after I spread it across, and now I'm adding some shredded cheese that I got from the grocery store. This was actually like a pre-made Italian blend. Of course, if you have the time and the energy to go ahead and make some fresh grated cheese, then by all means, please do so. I, however, not have that type of time, so I did pick up the Italian blend. I think that it pretty much has like almost all the different types of cheeses you would want in there. I will show you guys the list of ingredients on the bag, but I think it has like Asiago in there, it has Parmesan, it has some mozzarella and a few other things, but just make sure that you coat that cheese all around because you want all of the lasagna to be loved. I cannot tell you guys how much it annoys me when I get unloved lasagna, like some parts are missing sauce and some parts are missing cheese. No, we want every bite to be right. So yeah, here is what is inside of this cheese. Let's see what we have here. We have some Asiago, Parmesan, Romano, we have some Fontina, some provolone, some mozzarella. So all the great cheeses that are going to melt really nicely and exactly how you want it to be melting for your lasagna. So after I went ahead and put down that shredded cheese, I'm now going to go ahead and add another layer of meat sauce. So I'm adding more of our meat sauce, which, oh my God, that looks so... Just looking back on this, I'm like, dang, that lasagna was really good. Like, I almost want to make some more, but I don't need all those carbs. But yeah, go ahead and add some more of your meat sauce on top of that shredded cheese, and it's already going to start melting it. But once we pop this in the oven, that's when everything is really going to get nice and gooey and ooey and cheesy. So you can see I put a nice little layer. I'm just, again, making sure that the entire pot gets love. Nobody deserves to get a dry bite of lasagna, so make sure that you are evenly spreading that around. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little Parmesan Romano grated cheese. Of course, again, if you have fresh, use fresh, but we're not doing all that here. So I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of that on top of my meat. And now I'm going to put my next layer of noodles, again, staggering it, but kind of starting in the opposite direction this time, which hopefully you get what I'm saying. But just staggering it like a brick the same way I did before. It's okay if they're a little bit on top of each other. That's not really a big deal. And these noodles, because they already sat in hot water, they're going to cook perfectly once you put them in the oven. So that's why we pre-sat them in the hot water for around half an hour, because I already started to kind of pre-cook them and make them ready to be baked in the oven. So on top of this layer, we are going to now finish up the last of the meat sauce. Now this is the top layer. Some people don't add any meat sauce to the top of their lasagna. I like a little bit of sauce on there. Like, I don't know. I don't know why people aren't adding it, but I like to add a little bit of meat sauce on top. Especially, again, it helps the top noodles not get dried out. And that way, when you're biting into it, you're not tasting like crunchy, dry lasagna. So I'm just taking the remainder of that meat sauce that I have. I'm just going to put that on top. And then I am going to add some more cheese, of course, because who doesn't add more cheese to their lasagna? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to take that same shredded cheese that I added to that first layer. I'm sprinkling it. Now, you guys, if you guys want multiple layered lasagna, then you would just repeat the steps that you already did. You would be adding the ricotta cheese and more meat and all that, but this was enough for me, and this was all the meat sauce I had anyways, so I didn't need multiple layers of lasagna. Again, I'm trying to kind of watch the carbs and not overdo it, but do you, boo. So I'm adding, again, more of that shredded cheese, making sure I hit the corners, making sure I hit the sides. And then because it needs a little bit of color, and because I have it in my garden and I don't want it to go to waste, I'm going to add some more of that basil. I chopped it up a little bit, gave it a very rough chop, as you can see, and just add it to the top of the lasagna so it can have some color and a little bit more of that Italian flavor. Now, my oven has been preheating on 375. It is now ready to go. So I covered that pot in some foil to trap in the steam, which is going to help bring that moisture into the lasagna and prevent it from, drying out. So I'm going to pop it in the oven, let it cook for about 45 minutes, and let's see what we have. Dun, dun, dun. Yes! Oh my gosh, it's like I'm reliving this moment all over again. Like, this lasagna was so good. When I took that foil off and the aroma of the steam just smacked my nose, it was like, yes, eat me. Look at this. This looks so good. I think that this looks super appetizing, and I promise you that regardless who you make this for, they're going to love it. I also enjoyed the fact that it didn't have the heavy beef and pork in it. I kind of got to eat it with a little less guilt, so that's always great. Let's go ahead and see what it looks like inside. So I went ahead and cut me a slice because I couldn't wait and I had to eat it. And oh my God, look at that. Look at that. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. And it was so good. It really was. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take a bite real quick. To go in and try the first bite. Oh my God, that's so good. Yes. Oops, almost knocked the camera. Yes, that's so freaking good. So if you guys enjoyed this lasagna recipe and you plan on trying it at home, please make sure to like this video, and most importantly, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow my food channel. I'm on a goal for 1,000 subscribers, so it would be really helpful if you did subscribe and share it with any of your pasta loving friends and family if you think that they would love this recipe as well. I will see you guys very soon with another bomb easy recipe for you to make, and I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.